Hey guys, Chris Cirillo here. What if I told you that knowing the right things to do isn't enough to transform your life? I could give you all the keys, all the ideas, all that stuff. It's not enough. All of those fitness programs, the diet plans, the workout routines, the morning routines, the spiritual formation routines, all the stuff that you've tried, they're failing not because of a lack of knowledge. They're failing because of something much deeper. Look, I've been there as a former Division One athlete, Army Ranger, personal trainer. I had access to resources that most people only dream about, like elite NCAA nutritionists and world class strength coaches. And my dad was a uh, PhD. He was an internal medicine doctor, but he was a PhD also in molecular genomics. Like my mom was a physical therapist. I spent years in studying in college in human physiology. I had all the advantages, all the personal training certificates, the nutrition certificates. Um, I had it all, right? I had everything I needed, every resource, every bit of information um, that you could possibly want, and yet behind the scenes, I was struggling with gluttony and a tobacco addiction that I couldn't shake. And here's the uncomfortable truth that I discovered. Um, Knowledge alone doesn't transform us. And today, I'm going to show you why. And more importantly, I'm going to show you what to do about it. Um, so stay tuned for that. Really excited to kind of dive into this. This is one of the big revelations that I had throughout my coaching journey, throughout my coaching career. And so, like I said, I had all the credentials, I had all the experience, I had all the knowledge, I had done all the things, and I was still struggling to overcome some of these kind of maybe more basic things, like, oh yeah, like I know that tobacco is horrible for you, but someone introduced me to chew when I was 14 years old, and that took root, and I did that for 15 plus years or whatever. It took a long time, and I was still struggling. I had all of the knowledge, but I couldn't overcome it. And this isn't abnormal, right? This is very common stuff where people know one thing and they do another. Prime example of this is respiratory physicians, right? Like these are the doctors that all day long they're working with people who have emphysema and cancer and all of that in their lungs most of the time because they are smokers. And these doctors have one of the highest rates of smoking in all physician groups, right? Like the people who are closest to cancer patients because of smoking have the highest rate of smoking. How does that make any sense? Um, and most of us we focus on the program when it comes to fitness. We focus on the nutrition plan. We focus on getting the right tool, the right process, the right it has to be the right thing. And we end up saying things that are very common excuses like the program was too strict, or those workouts really weren't my style, or I'll start when things settle down. I just need to find the right supplement stack first. Like we've got all sorts of excuses for why things don't work, for why things didn't go the way that we planned them to. And we are very good at rationalizing things. And I was very good at rationalizing why I didn't want to stop, overeating. Like I had good genetics and I was always lean anyways, and it didn't really matter. It wasn't making me fat, but it was scarring the inside of my soul with these damaging things. And the same thing with tobacco, and the same thing with a nicotine addiction years ago. And I had to come to terms with I was rationalizing and making all of these things something that was okay. I was in my mind rationalizing all of it and making all sorts of excuses. So maybe you can relate. Maybe you've kind of told yourself the same things, like the program's too strict, or my workouts weren't my style, and I'm just really busy. I'll do it when I settle down. There's all sorts of stuff that we say, and we always make it about the information piece. But I learned this working with lots of men for a lot of years. But it was after a number of times of hearing that where I'm like, man, I've watched you try like everything, and I've done the same thing. And you've tried everything, and none of that stuff is working. You're waiting for the next silver bullet. You're waiting for the next thing to come out, and it's not going to. And the reason why it's not going to is because the problem is you. The problem is me. And we have to understand this first. We've got to accept this first. The the number one bottleneck um, to personal growth, there's really two, but the number one bottleneck to personal growth that most people think about when they think about, the right workout plans, or growing in my spiritual depth and my walk with the Lord, or becoming a better father, or anything like that, growing in my capacity at work, or becoming better with my business acumen. We think the number one bottleneck is not knowing what to do. And so we constantly look for information. And this is why we are content consumers galore today, right? Like, we continue to just go after the next thing, the next video, the next thing. But most of us are not implementing any of those things. We know what to do, right? Like, right now, if I asked you what is a healthy way to approach fitness as a father, most of you could come up with, I need to eat more protein, I need to lift weights consistently, I need to do some cardio, I need to get better sleep, I need to cut some alcohol out, and I need to eat, whole foods instead of packaged foods, right? Like, it's not complex. We know the information, but we don't do it. And that's the problem that we need to wrestle with. That's the second bottleneck, is not knowing what to do, and why you're not doing what you know you should be doing. We got to solve that bottleneck. So we really need to address this as the real challenge. And in order for us to be successful, this has to be done really well. We have to identify what it is that I'm not doing, or why it is that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's always connected to these like underlying beliefs and identity and challenges in our kind of subconscious mind and things like that. It's not solved through learning. If this was solved through learning, then again, doctors wouldn't smoke, pastors would never sin. This is kind of basic stuff, right? Like, we know that knowledge doesn't solve it, yet we continue to operate and pretend like it does. So, what I want you to do as a practical exercise in light of this is, I want you to be honest about what you're not implementing. What are the areas where you are not doing what you know you should be doing? And take time and really get detailed. Like, write out, like, yeah, I know I'm not eating healthy enough, and I'm not having enough whole foods, or enough vegetables, or enough fruit, or enough protein and meat, and like, whatever. Write out what you're not doing, and then from that point, you can do a bit of a belief examination, and you can ask yourself, like, what is it that I'm believing that's driving those particular behaviors? Because this is really at the root of all of it. And we're going to go a lot deeper into this in our future episodes, but begin to conceptualize, what is the underlying thing that is causing my existing behavior? Because if I don't solve the problem, if I don't remove the bottleneck of why I'm not doing what I know I should be doing, then I'm going to continue to run the same plays over and over again. I'm going to look for the next app, or the next challenge, or the next boot camp, or the next diet, or the next like workout routine, or the next personal trainer at the gym, and I'll go through these cycles, and it's over and over and over again. And if you ever notice a pattern where you do the same things consistently in any area, it doesn't have to be health and fitness, but any area, you start to notice those patterns, that's usually a pretty good indicator that there's a belief system underlying that needs to be examined. And so we have to ask ourselves, really, what's going on? What am I believing? And this is usually subconscious, so it takes time to really journal through, process through, what's going on here? Why am I feeling this way? Why is it that every time I pass the pantry, I grab a cookie, And question what your actions are revealing about your beliefs, and start small. This doesn't have to be extravagant, but begin to like pick through things and then grab one habit and focus on consistency over perfection. Figure out, okay, what's going on here and how do I begin to reshape some of this stuff so that I can act accordingly, so that I can follow through with something consistently. Okay, so here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to take out your phone. I want you to open your notes app, and I want you to write down those 3 habits that you know you should be doing, but you aren't. Write them down right now. Pull it out as you're listening. Just start to jot these down. Then ask yourself, like, what do my actions in this area reveal about what I truly believe? That's all you need to do. Let's keep it simple. In our next episode, we're going to dive deep into what it really means to be a mission fit father and how this connects to God's bigger purpose for your life. This is just the beginning of the journey. This is just, we're going to evaluate piece by piece. What are these things that are actually needing to be addressed for a Christian father who wants a well-balanced, effective, healthy, impactful life where he is leading well at home, he is doing incredibly well at work, he is healthy and fit and sleeping good and eating well and energetic and has balanced hormones and can play with his kids and engage in community really well. Like, we want it all and we can have it all. We just have to do the work that comes with changing the inner parts of our man uh, and aligning those with God's ways and principles in partnership with his spirit. But there's some practical, very important things that we need to do, that we have responsibility over, that we have to take ownership of. And unless we understand the vision and then build the systems and build the process, then we're going to continue to struggle. We're going to continue that cycle. So take time, open your notes app if you haven't already, and begin to write these things down. 3 habits you know you should be doing, but you're not doing, and asking yourself, what is it that I am believing? What would someone who's doing what I'm doing instead of what I know I should do, what would someone who's doing what I'm doing have to believe in order to do that? We're going to dive deeper into this belief and action connection later on, but these are important questions just to begin to process through. So take time to do that now, and we will pick up next time with our vision and what it means to be a mission fit father.